I'm Brad Lackey. I'm a CG generalist at Motion Graphics.
All right, so nice to meet you. I'm Stephanie Michaels and I'm recording. So, the purpose of this video today is on the internet, I'm seeing more and more of aspiring animators who are, for whatever reason, losing hope. And a lot of people are saying, is it even worth it? Just this morning, I was on Reddit and I saw people asking, is it even worth it to learn Maya? Is it worth it to learn Houdini? Because AI is taking over. And while I've tried my best to reassure them that, these companies that make these products, they have investors and they have to inflate how great their products are. The fact is, most professionals at the higher levels, you're not going to make a Pixar, you're not going to make the next Incredibles by clicking a button and typing text and AI is just going to make it for you. Can you sort of, since you guys are actually in the industry, how how much do you rely on the tools that you use? What tools do you use, and what can you tell aspiring animators?
It's a great question. I'm actually very empathetic to that. That speaks very close to some of the missions that we have. But at the end of the, and I could go on for a long time about this. I'm going to try to truncate this soapbox real quick. But it is just like you said. It's a tool. If even if AI comes out and it's amazing, it's still just a tool. You can have an amazing software, an amazing AI. You can have amazing buttons, but if you're not very good at telling a story or using them or being strategic or solving creative problems, it doesn't matter. So don't necessarily be afraid of AI coming out or new software or it being very easy for anyone to do it. I think a lot of people are very afraid that it's becoming more accessible for just anybody to do it. That doesn't necessarily matter. Even our clients are, there was a lot of talk this year, last year about AI, and they're like, oh, look, Motion, you should be able to do this for us much quicker, much cheaper because of AI. And it's like, there is no magic button, especially for the work that we do. I can't speak for every industry or anything like that, but there are things in the animation world, stories in the animation world that can and will never be able to be told with AI. You need a human person to tell these stories because they've never been told before. And AI learns on past experiences. So with product demos or commercials with inventions and even software demos that have never existed yet, like you can't tell that with AI. There will always be a need to have an animator. The medium will change over time as it always has, but the the tools will change, but people need to be disciplined in less about the tools per se and more about the process and the strategy and the storytelling.
Agreed. Agreed.
If you have something to
What
add to
about you,
that.
Mr. Brad?
I think there is some nervousness around companies that already have a ton of IP. So you have Disney already starting to go after Midjourney now for some of the copyright imagery. But Coca-Cola recently came out with an AI. I think it might have been in Brazil. They had like a Christmas spot, which they already have so much IP.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit easier for them to do that. But not every company has Coca-Cola level IP,
Right.
right? We don't. I don't think we ever will. And I think there's just thousands, millions of companies starting every day that don't have a voice yet. And you have to help them build that. And AI is not going to be able to do that. So I think people are looking at maybe just one aspect of where AI could hit, which is Hollywood. Maybe it's the larger scale studios, but that's not all the business, right? So, for example, in Houston, Texas, a lot of industrial work is made, like the sciences, STEM, things like that need stories. I know it's not flashy and it maybe isn't as cool as going down to Canada or going up to Canada or LA or wherever to do high end visual effects, but the industry is not just that. So I think AI is really going to find its little pockets that it plays in. And I get it. I mean, it's really, I grew up drawing, right? So I love to actually get my hands dirty and illustrate. And for kids to come out and say, look what I made with, three sentences, it is a little bit annoying. I
Right.
get it, for sure. But if anybody asked them to change that image in any way, they're gonna, at least right now, have a little bit of trouble.
Mhm.
So I battle with it, to be honest with you. I go back and forth. I think when AI just came out, I thought, oh, this is the end,
Yeah.
right? You had Sora, and then even the Google VO3, things like that are really impressive.
Mhm.
But the more you use it, the more it's like, oh, this is not.
It's a
It's not
novelty,
gonna. It's not ever gonna be what they say it's gonna be.
right?
And that's the key right there. And that's exactly what I said this morning. I told people, I said, don't be afraid of AI. Like you just said,
Mhm.
I said about a month ago, I said, think of AI as a calculator because that's what it is. And, but if you don't know how to use a calculator, it's useless. And also, the more you use these tools, don't be afraid of the tools, actually use them because that's really how you're going to realize what it can't do. It's very generic content and it just has an AI look. Every time you see AI content, it just looks AI, right? It
Yeah,
doesn't
you can
look,
definitely.
yeah, it doesn't look handmade and you can tell. And so, especially when you're looking at an artist who you know doesn't have the means to shoot some like high drone shot of,
Yeah.
and they put that in their film and you're like,
Yeah, we kind of see it these days and use it these days as kind of a glorified stock video generator.
exactly, exactly. And for those purposes, it's wonderful. But like you said, using it, any true artist is going to get tired of it after a while.
And not just true artists, your clients, and
Your
that's what matters, right?
it's
Like
about
I
your
don't care
clients.
nothing. I'm so far beyond doing it for the sake of art. Like I'm trying to
Right.
get paid. Like the clients are
Exactly.
not going to pay for something
Mhm.
that they can't use, and AI
Right.
is not, like Brad said, editable to the degree that clients desperately crave.
Yeah,
So
we do find it kind of ironic and funny how you have a whole legion of people that really are adopting AI and they love it and that's great. And they're like, oh, just if we had a little bit more control here, this would
Mhm.
be fantastic. But it's getting there. And
Mhm.
to me, it's funny because we're already there. We can already do all
Yeah.
of these things
Yeah.
with traditional
Tools.
CG.
Yeah.
It's just
it's just
not
not instant.
instant and flashy and the new tool. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think for kids that are entering into the industry, I would definitely implore them to look at where they want to go with animation first and then decide. Don't just say, I want to do animation. If you want to go into making filmmaking, AI could eventually impact camera distributors, people that like Canon and Sony, like it will come after all of them as well. And so it's interesting to think about that. But I would definitely ask, what do you want to do animation for? Do you want to do it as a hobby? Then yeah, AI is a great way to get your ideas out there and
Yeah.
go for it. No problem. I think if I was a kid and I had AI, it would feel like I'm cheating, but I would also love it because you
Mhm.
could tell your story quickly. Plus, with the compute that you need locally to do some of the animations that we've done in the
Mhm.
past, we do cloud rendering now, but yeah, it's really taxing. You have to have a really nice computer. Nowadays, people are generating on their phone, and it's just different.
But it's also separating classes
Mhm.
of animators and animation service providers. So it's separating like the people who can do it with AI are going to do it and they're going to offer this cheap, quick product
Right.
that is good enough.
Mhm.
And then you're going to have people like us who maybe incorporates AI as a tool to speed up some processes, but is otherwise a fully custom story that
Mhm.
cannot be made with AI, and people who it will require very specialized, very technical,
Mhm.
skilled artists to tell
Right.
these stories. And so it's, I think, going to be, maybe I'm a little bit optimistic, I think it's going to actually elevate
Mhm.
the artists and studios that offer that higher end
Mhm.
service that people need in certain industries. So you can go get, it's like the dollar store versus Louis Vuitton. Like
I
they
agree.
both sell purses,
Mhm.
but you're gonna go to one
Mhm.
for a much higher price.
And I agree because I don't think you're being I don't think that your optimism isn't correct. I think because it's like I don't know if you heard of like Wix, Squarespace, Shopify.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So when those tools came out, of course, every time something new comes out, people just immediately assume it's here to replace
Exactly.
instead of it being here in addition to. I'm putting
No,
words in your mouth.
the challenge is that our clients are very left brained, are very analytical engineering, and they a lot of times, not all of them, but a lot of times, even if you show them a style frame and you show them the animatic, they physically cannot mentally visualize the jump between, okay, this is the draft, but this is what the render's going to look like. Just fill in the blank in your mind. They can't. So we're asking too much of them. Our deadlines are extremely tight most of the time, like a month maybe to do an animation at most in some cases. So if we could cut a step, like if we could just show them the animation or at least some of the scenes that are important to them fully rendered in the animatic phase, so that they would not have to visualize so much. They would be able to see it lit and rendered and textured in the first draft. Because I think in the first draft we lose a lot of our clients, especially first time clients, where they're kind of just like, oh, what in the bait and switch is this? They think that I'm promising them this stuff on my website and then giving them like a whole bunch of shit, and they're like, this is not what I paid for. I'm like, no, bro, just trust me. Like, it's gonna be good. Look at the
Stages,
style frame, but they can't. They actually can't, and they think that it's just shocking to them when they see an animatic, even though it makes sense to the people in the industry. To them, they're just like, ooh, this is not good. They think it's gonna be
because
that
we
way.
show them storyboard phase in animation.
Yeah, we
And
show
they-
them
yeah.
the whole thing. We do the script, storyboard,
But they're
everything. They're
final
expecting
production
final
quality.
in the draft.
Yeah.
Yes, and after they get through that shock, even recently on a second time client, they say, okay, but is it going to be colored? I'm like, bro, of course it's going to have color. Like, literally, of course.
Second
And then
time.
when they saw the final, they're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Thank God. I'm like, did you actually think this was not going to look good? Like, this whole time? Like, no wonder you've been up my butt. Like, can you just calm down?
I see.
Anyway, like, what I'm trying to say is, in a perfect world, if we could at least do a few scenes that are fully rendered, so that they can get a better, like, oh, okay, this is feeling okay, this is feeling good, because they're really struggling with looking at a style frame and not moving pictures.
I understand. What kind of what do you actually make the most for your clients? Because when looking at your website, it's always going to be different, from studio to studio. But from your website, it doesn't seem like you're making like mostly people, photorealistic people.
No, we don't do that a
who
whole lot.
talk.
No.
So-
A lot of our clients and a lot of the stuff that we do is actually inherently boring. So that's kind of our value proposition, is that we take stories that are inherently boring, highly complex, highly technical, things that people don't understand, or they're a million miles underground, or they're up in space and you can't film them, or they're microscopic, or they're really expensive or dangerous. So we make animations to explain how something works in a visually compelling, instantly understandable way. So it could be a machine or an airplane or a tool of some kind.
Yeah. So you mostly product design.
Products, for sure.
Explaining complex.
Yeah, products, and that's where we separate between the mediums. So if it's a tangible product, we do tend to recommend 3D animation.
Okay.
If it's a software or a concept or a idea, those are really good to tell in 2D animation. And then if it's like an overview video or a culture video or a recruiting video, then we recommend a live action. Like, we'll come to your office with a camera.
We'll record you.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay. And do you guys use Nuke?
No.
Do you do a lot of compositing?
Yes, with
We
After
do
Effects.
in After Effects. The reason why we stayed away from Nuke, it may be better now, but it's pricey, man.
Oh.
Super expensive.
It's expensive. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure for like a single user, but we're not a single user. We have a team, so anytime we go to sign up to get a product like that, they notice and they will
And
they'll
After
charge you a
Effects
little bit
has
more.
like a whole suite of tools that we use, like Illustrator and Premiere and
Yeah.
Photoshop.
And even people moving over to DaVinci a lot from Premiere, I think.
Okay.
That,
we use DaVinci too.
yeah, DaVinci a little bit, and that has a compositor called Fusion, but we don't use that.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So if you had a tool that gave you production quality or even close to production quality in real time while you're working, so you don't have to guess,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to click a render button and then wait before you see what the lights are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And if you had a tool that, I mean, not only will it show your clients production quality now, but it shows you while you're working
Mhm.
so that you can see things instantly and there's no need to ever hit a render button.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, if you had a tool that made it so when you're ready, after you've shown your clients and they're ready to make 5 million changes,
Right.
and so now you can go and make those changes. And now to make the final video, you didn't have to hit a render button and wait.
Mm-hmm.
There's never a need to hit a render button because that's truly what real time means.
Right.
That's what it really should mean.
Mhm.
People are using it a lot, but what we've done is we've really made something that's actually real time. So when it comes to, okay, well, that's great, Steph, but how do you make the end video? How do you make the final 4K or 8K video for the client or whatever resolution? Um, so that's where things change. It's the final product that you're going to deliver. How long is that going to take? If you had a tool that got rid of all that, so you'd never had to use cloud rendering,
Mm-hmm.
you'd never had to use a so called real time renderer that still required you to wait,
Mm-hmm.
what would that do for your company?
I think that would save us a lot of time. To be honest, I'm trying to think. The client, I would never tell my clients this because they would want everything faster.
Of course.
Deadlines would shrink.
They
Yeah.
would shrink our
Yeah.
Which
deadlines.
is okay.
Yeah.
I think that for us, it's less about what it would do for the company, but more about us
Yeah.
personally.
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of
Yeah,
times,
there's a lot of late nights.
late nights, maybe work a weekend, and you know, if you've got, not only if you have kids or not, I mean, mental health wise,
Yeah.
it can be really tough.
Very stressful because
Um,
you're always down to the last minute, and it's
Mhm.
always because you sent something wrong or you
Mhm.
were on the wrong camera.
Yeah,
when
it's
you
not
sent
very
it or
iterative
something.
when it gets to that rendering stage for
Yeah.
us. It's more of a, you know, you plan and do as best you can. You send off a render and you get it back, and you're like, okay, well, there's a little tweak here that maybe we should have made.
Mhm.
Re-render it. So
Yeah,
we do
especially
stuff like
when
that.
we're paying for the cloud render and you send
Mhm.
something, it's like $200 render, and you get it back and
Yeah.
it's flickering or something.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
I
we
didn't
have
know.
to typically eat the
I've never
cost. We would
used-
never.
Mhm.
I've
you
never
know,
used cloud rendering.
Yeah,
I didn't know you had to pay for it.
it's a blessing and a curse. Oh, you pay for it.
You pay for each frame,
Each.
but it could be anywhere from like 15 cents to.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
mean, on average, I would say for an average project, we're paying about $1,000 for
Yeah,
cloud
because I
Yeah.
mean, if you're making an explainer video, those are typically 2 minutes.
Mhm.
render. Yeah,
If they want like an
and a lot
elongated
of
one.
times,
Yeah.
not every shot, but there are often shots where you have to do it in passes. So you render, a
Oh.
200 frame
Yeah.
shot for the background, and then you do it again for the
To
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 composite.
composite. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it
It's
can
kind of
add up.
become normal to
Yeah, I
us.
mean, it's
Yeah.
just the cost of doing business.
Yeah,
at a
you've
certain
you've been
point.
doing this for a long time, even before
Yeah.
cloud rendering. So
Yeah.
you
Well,
have
before cloud rendering, it was way worse because
Yeah.
we literally had 8 computers in our house,
We had
and
to
they
get
were
like a new circuit for
Yeah.
our home
Yeah,
because there wasn't enough
literally
power.
had computers in bathroom sinks rendering. It was bad.
I love stories like this
Yeah.
because this is
Yeah.
what really helps people appreciate what we have now.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I love talking
Well, and
to
that's the only when you said real time render, I'm like, we'll come check it out. We'll come
Yeah.
meet her.
Yeah.
It's a dream we chase.
Yeah.
Okay. And I agree
sure.
not to tell the client because the client doesn't need to know that you used a hammer and which hammer
Right,
you used to nail the
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
They just need to have the house made.
Right.
And so what you can actually do, and this is another thing that we tell, every time we demo our software, we tell people this is how this can make you money because we've had people ask us, well, if it's fast, then we're not going to make as much money. Because, well, I'm like, well, that depends on how you're charging. Are you charging
No,
them
I
per
don't-
hour
no, no,
for
no.
rendering?
That would make me way
Yeah.
more money 'cause I can do more of it.
Yeah.
Because typically, just like with Amazon, if you pay for expedited shipping,
Yeah.
people know that, hey, faster means
Oh yeah, no,
more
I
money.
have this whole speech. I
Yeah.
think we could both give this speech. I'm with you on
For
this.
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
So anyone who can do something faster is going to win
Yeah.
over the guy who needs
For
to,
sure.
yeah.
Right.
Okay, so that's clear. So let's hop into Univah and let's
Sure.
see, without me teaching you anything, you asked me to tell you what it was. I
Sure.
didn't tell you. I refused. And I
Okay.
said, because what we're saying about Univah is you don't need to learn Univah. You already know it.
Okay.
You already know it. And this guy, knowing about SOP and HOP and SHOP and WHIP,
The-
things that I know nothing about.
Malaise,
You know, so
Want me to do it? You
Yeah,
don't want
I
to
don't
drive
know.
it?
so we're gonna take a look at Univah.
Screen recorder on this?
Oh yeah, maybe
You
would you
like
want to do that?
OBS or
Oh,
something?
well, I actually will just record you as a person and just get your first impressions. Um, so, first impressions. When you launch it for the first time, are you overwhelmed?
No, no.
Why?
So you limited the buttons, which is great. You don't have a whole bunch of toolbars. I think that you've named them correctly. I think having a material editor open already is nice.
Mhm.
Most of the time you'd want to go and look for that. Outliner, I get that. You've got your, you know,
Oh, okay. Let me
your
teach you.
grittier,
Yeah,
and
let me
then-
teach you the navigation.
okay. That's nice. It's definitely a good staging tool. And this could also be helpful in the previs, right?
Mhm.
Even if it's not used as the final render stage, it could
Right.
definitely be used to show how we maybe intend to light it in the final. Like we want to have a rim light on this, and this is what that means.
Right.
You know, show the client. We've had situations in the past where we would go and do a real-time demonstration with like progressive rendering at the time,
Mhm.
and it's very noisy and it's not very clear. But I could see using this to show like, what do you plan to do with the lighting? Well, this is what we plan to do,
Right.
even if it isn't the final stage. So,
Gotcha. Okay.
but yeah,
Yeah, I mean we've demoed or watched demos of software in the past, even Unreal,
Mhm.
and it looks like it's going to solve all the problems. And
Right.
It's going to be
Yeah.
amazing. And it's going to be perfect. And then when we actually start using our files and our
Mm-hmm.
Right.
situations, it's like okay, it works, but not for us.
yeah.
Yeah.
One of the challenges that we have is the geometry we get is not animated, or it's not suited for animation. So it's
Oh.
an engineering file, and it's got all kinds of holes, or maybe the normals are flipped a weird way.
Oh.
So we have to go in and clean it.
Mhm.
That's pretty much we've become used to doing that.
Oh, so they're sending you files.
In a lot
Yeah,
of cases,
yeah.
most
Oh,
cases,
okay.
they do.
So it would be interesting to see like what this could do with a shitty model, with a model that's not suited for
Yeah.
right out the box
Mhm.
light and texture. You know,
Mhm.
so those are some technical challenges that we face pretty much
Okay.
every project.
I gotcha. Okay. All right. So WASD, movements to move around.
Mhm.
That's the navigation.
Yep.
Q to move up or down, and then E. So Q and E.
Okay.
There we go. And then when you right click on the mouse, right click first, move around. It,
Oh, I
yeah,
see, okay.
there you go. And then
Yeah,
right click
yeah.
again to free it.
Okay.
So those are the navigations. That's about all that I will tell you for now.
Got you. Okay.
So simple things that you would do, like add a cube.
Okay.
Let's see if you can figure that out. Right click
So-
again to free the mouse. There you go. And then hit H to recenter. There you go.
Gotcha. So let's see. So create primitive cube.
There we go.
Okay.
Pretty common sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And since you're coming from tools like Maya, Houdini, you pretty much can figure out if you wanted to change the color of something in Houdini, you would have to go to like your object mode and do a like a node, right? In Univah, it's let's see if you can figure it out.
Sure. Yeah, it's right here.
And if you move that to the side, you can see how in real time that edits.
Oh, okay. Let's
Whereas in Houdini, you would have to click some extra steps.
Nice, yeah. Let's do that. Okay.
All right. What about adding a floor?
Add in floor. Let's do a plain or floor. There we go.
All right. Okay, awesome. Now, let's see if you can figure out how to move the cube around, move it up.
Okay, so it's selected. Normally a T for a transform, something like that. Sorry, I keep hitting
Yeah.
the mouse.
Cut out the attribute editor.
Gotcha.
And if we go to transform,
Mhm.
you can see the transforms here.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
if you click these little buttons right next to reset,
These right here?
yeah, these
Okay,
are
scale,
trans.
yeah,
Yeah, there
rotate.
you go.
Okay. Yeah.
And they have keyboard shortcuts. So Z, X, and C will trigger each of these.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Now with that, let's add a light.
Okay.
Let's see if you can add a let's add a point light. So you have a good instinct. That's a kill switch. That's a
Oh,
switch
okay.
that turns off all hundreds of lights. So if you have
Oh,
a
okay.
billion lights, you hit
Gotcha.
that, it'll turn everything off. But you don't have any lights
So
yet. So let's add one. Do
you
a point.
said point? Okay.
Okay, so you've added a point light, but you don't see anything, right? That's because it's way at the bottom. It's at 0, 0, 0. So go back to your outliner and select it. And then hit that Z key or X key to translate it up. Oh, select it again.
Point light. Z.
If you can't do that, hit the right mouse click in the viewport to activate the viewport.
I got you.
There you go.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
And then you can maybe hit that W key so you can view above, or hit the, there you go, so you can see what's going on. How do you like the navigation? Is it much easier to navigate?
So it's not bad. I think for me, like I'm such a
You're
old
just so
school.
burned in your
Exactly.
brain.
Yeah, like I'm dragging. Like so, a lot of times when I'm flowing around, I'll be dragging. But this is not bad.
Very good. So you've added a light,
Yep.
and you can move the light around. Let's see what the parameters are for that light. So just like with the cube, it had its attributes.
Mhm.
The light also has attributes. Now, if you collapse your transform, check out the light parameters.
Nice. Okay.
So what do you think of that?
So simple.
So
Yeah.
simple.
No, that's good.
For each light, you can decide how dark the shadows are.
Yeah. Nice.
You can do the linear fall off,
Mhm.
so it affects just an area,
Okay. Yep.
and then you can choose the area,
It's just clamping
This
it.
is the intensity then.
and
Oh,
that's
for this one,
the
yeah.
intensity.
Okay.
And you can type a specific value there to make it brighter. And it's based on real world values.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to simulate a light bulb, a ceiling light, it's going to be realistic.
Okay. Very cool.
All right.
Yeah, I think the right click is what I have to get used to.
Yes, because
To
typically you're
activate
clicking
it.
and dragging.
Right.
Yeah.
We did
Is
it this
there a
way.
to change the hotkeys?
Right now, there isn't. We did it this way for the right click because once you have a very big scene, you're going to see why you don't want to be clicking and dragging. Because
Right.
when you click just once and you can fly through a very large 16-kilometer map
Mhm.
without having to click and drag, click and drag.
Got you. Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
It's
so
like
for point lights, you wouldn't scale
Yeah.
anything. For point lights, you would only translate.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. And so that's what you can do with that. Now, so far, you're working in a render mode that is not realistic, correct?
Correct.
Okay. To switch rendering styles, how do you think you would do that?
So that's to switch to the light.
That's for cameras, but you haven't added a new camera yet.
Okay. Do I need to add a camera to access the render? The
No.
different render?
No,
Okay.
you do not.
So it's just got a render.
No.
Nope.
No.
Window.
What's the question? How do we make the
So if
render
you
More
wanted to
realistic.
switch rendering styles, keyword is
Oh.
styles,
Mm.
how do you think you would change the rendering style?
right there?
Ah, she figured it out.
Oh, styles. Okay.
So anything to do with looks would be under materials tab.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So in other softwares, you would probably have to do a lot of nodes and shaders, creating shaders. Here, it's one click.
Okay. So
Let's go to physically based.
Right.
Okay. So now you're in physically based rendering.
Mhm.
Let's add a sphere because with a sphere, you can really see what's going on.
Okay.
Ooh, let's select it. If it's selecting different things, just go back to the outliner because right now you have the plane selected.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and let's drag it up. And you can also add a directional light. Let's go ahead and add a directional light so that way you can light up the whole scene. There we go. And let's deselect your point light. Yeah, with that
You
selected,
want to delete it or?
if you want.
Okay, let's do that.
There we go.
Nice.
All right. So now we are in physically based rendering mode.
Mhm.
Let's select that sphere
Okay.
and go to styles. I'm going to show you some things to do to get it to look the way you have it. Now that you're in physically based rendering mode, go to the PBR section.
Mhm.
And here's where fun things happen. First of all, before you change anything, right click in your viewport and just look around. What do you see?
You've got an HDRI.
There
Or
we
an
go.
environment.
Yes. And if you want to see full screen, just hit the escape key. There we
Okay,
go.
nice.
So now you can work in full screen. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So you've got an environment map.
Mhm.
And if you want to bring back just the panels you need, you can do that using 6, 7, 8, and 9. So 6 brings that back, 7 brings that back, that brings that. So that way you can
Oh, I
choose what you
that.
see.
Okay.
Okay. All right. You can hit the escape key again to bring back the whole UI.
Okay.
All right. So you've got an environment map.
Mhm.
Let's delete it.
Let me, oops.
Go to the PBR section.
Yep. Delete.
There you go.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward, right?
Mhm.
You didn't
Yep.
have to struggle to figure it out.
Nope.
So there we go. So let's select the sphere.
Okay.
Now, in your PBR mode, things are looking pretty dark, right?
Mhm.
We have no sort of like
GI.
yeah, we have no global illumination, we have no ambient light going on. We've deleted the environment map.
Mhm.
So that's pretty accurate lighting. Let's upload a new environment map.
Okay. So for this, it just says delete IBL.
Mhm. So you've already deleted it. So let's upload a new one.
Okay.
Pretty simple, right? Go to desktop because that's where I have them right now.
Okay.
Go to defaults,
Yep.
and load any one of those.
Okay. Let's do this one.
All
Nice.
right. So awesome. So now we've got those reflections back.
Mhm.
Now scroll down in your PBR section until you see IBL intensity.
Okay. Do that.
Do you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Drag it until you reach about 1.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Now you have pretty accurate lighting.
Mhm.
Whereas before, the bottom of the sphere was completely dark. All right. Now, let's boost up your exposure. Scroll up to where you see exposure.
Okay.
And typically, don't go above 1.8.
Okay. Yeah.
How's that looking?
Yeah. Nice.
Looking good, right? Now, in Houdini, how many steps would you have to take to switch to a different rendering style?
So that would require me to create what's known as a ROP, and
Mhm.
then in there, based on whatever my render engine I chose would be, I would have to go through that. So if I did it in Karma, I would go to the stage and I'd have to build out a scene, which is kind of redundant sometimes. Or if I'm in Houdini, I need to go and build out a ROP,
Mhm.
which is it's not too bad, but it is based on also the camera that you're using.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is interesting that you can do all of this without, having a camera ready or accessible.
Okay. And adding cameras is just like you would add a cube.
Mhm.
You would just go to create and add in your camera.
Okay.
But before we do that, let's add a person so you can see how good this render actually looks, right?
Okay. Sure.
So far, we've seen primitives. So let's import something. Let's import. Go to import,
Mhm.
and let's go to no, go to downloads,
Okay.
and scroll down. We're gonna import the old man sitting. Click on that file.
Okay.
Click on LOD0, the first one,
Okay.
and just click the first one.
FBX.
Yeah. And once he comes in, I think he's probably in by now. There he
Yep.
is. You can select him. And before we do anything, let's go to your outliner. I think you're already there.
Yep.
And let's use the scale tool to scale them up.
Okay.
You would have to right click in the viewport to activate the viewport.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
There it is.
Sit on
Okay.
box.
Yeah, I almost got to sit on the box.
Perfect.
Hold
You
on,
can
let me-
rotate them around.
Oh, he disappeared. Hold on.
Yeah.
Gonna
So
right
if
click
you want to,
again.
so right click again to free it. There you go.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. Once you get used to it, it'll be pretty.
Is it, what's his name? Marvel.
All
Yeah.
right. So we've got a grandpa. Let's zoom in on him. Let's go in close and see what's going on with
Up
this
his
guy.
nose. Hello.
All right.
Very shiny.
Shiny man.
So right now we've got the roughness up pretty high, right?
Right.
So let's go to our PBR section and increase the roughness.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you put it about 80 or 8 or anything close to 1.8, yeah, it starts to look more
Yeah, that
natural.
looks better. Okay.
All right. So that's the beginning stages. This is the PBR workflow. And instead of seeing, gray all the time, you would see the actual end result.
Right. Yeah. No, it is really nice. Yeah.
Now let's add some textures. Let's see the textures on this guy so that you can really see the power. And look at the FPS.
Yeah.
We're doing all this in how much FPS?
Yeah. Over 600.
Yeah. So it's not slowing down anytime
Oh
soon.
no. Okay.
So how do we see the textures for this guy? Can you figure that out?
How we see them?
Yeah, how do we see the textures he came in with?
So let's see material.
Ah, there you go.
Perfect.
So now we have all the textures that he comes in with. And you can, of course, upload more. Click on each box and see what happens.
Okay. Start with the diffuse.
Yeah, so you can see, you can easily replace it,
Mm-hmm.
but don't yet.
yet.
And if you go up, if you scroll up,
Mhm.
you can see those same textures and you can clear all. It'll clear all for each one.
I see.
Okay.
Is it
Let's expand the. Let's go to the outliner and let's work on those glasses because it seems like they came in with no
like
texture.
sunglasses?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I already know this guy. So I know the third one is the lens. Yeah. Click on it to make sure. If you're not sure, hit that little checkbox next to the third one. Click on the third one.
This one?
Yeah, hit the checkbox. There we go. So we know for sure those are the lens.
Got
All right. So now that we have that selected, let's go back to our materials.
Mhm.
All right. You see how in diffuse nothing's there?
Mhm.
So let's add one.
Okay.
Double click and scroll down to maps. Oh, you got it.
Mhm.
And we're going to look for something that says accessories color. I think it's that right there.
It's fair.
Yeah.
This one right here.
It says color.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, we've got it. Zoom in and see how it looks. Get yourself a nice view. Okay. So right now we're not getting any reflections, right?
Mhm.
We need a roughness map.
Okay.
Let's add one. Go to accessories, roughness.
Gotcha. Oh, I'm
Oh
just
no.
Okay, that's what the okay, when that happens, don't worry. Don't worry. You can reset, but it's going to reset to the origin, and you're not at the origin anymore. Hide that lens. Hit that little checkbox when you select lens. There you go. I can definitely add a setting
I just
for
do it
click and
like,
drag.
Maybe like a tab would act as the right click. Like if I'm already on this side,
Mhm.
if I'm clicking tab to get into this mode
Mhm.
and then back out, like I'm already using my fingers, so
Oh,
tab
okay.
might be a little bit easier.
Aren't you already using your mouse? No.
You do. So look, so the mouse is looking around.
Mm-hmm.
This is orbiting and things like that while I'm looking.
Mm-hmm.
But if I want to go select this guy, I have to press right click again.
I have to think of what.
Do you want to try?
There's a way to in Max.
You wanna try?
Oh, for sure. I know it's gonna. In in Max, if I'm trying to, yeah, like if I'm trying, okay.
So when you do that, right click and then hit H. There you
Yes.
go.
So, but let's say I'm somewhere else. Is what I want to say. Like, let's say I'm over here, or I'm here. Perfect.
Okay.
And I want to be close to this, and let's say that it is not at home. It's over here.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to click on that? Oh, and you can't select it that way.
You have to press, you have to right click.
Okay. Yeah. Is there a way to just like in Max, if I
Mhm.
hit Z, I think it's Z. I can't remember now off the top of my head. It would zoom to that.
Oh,
object.
zoom to object.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. So we don't have that yet, but
I
that's,
would
yeah, we
recommend
can add
it 'cause
that.
I use that so often.
Yeah.
If I have a lot of stuff in a scene,
Hmm.
and I, especially if it's small or something,
Yeah.
and I can't like.
That's
how do
what
I go find that thing?
Right.
How
that's
does
what
it
our
work?
middle mouse button is going to do in the future.
Okay.
Okay.
It's going to zoom exactly to where your mouse is.
Okay, that's
good.
what
Yeah.
I would recommend.
Okay.
Yes.
So just like you can hit that H key and it takes you home,
Yes,
the
it would
middle-
take you
yeah,
home to the object.
to the
you're
object.
on.
It would center
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
It's a
The
very
location.
smart idea.
That's what I would.
So that's what our middle mouse button is going to do
Okay.
in the future. If ever anything's
Yeah, I will say that the UI is really nice,
okay.
and it's giving only what you need to see available.
Right.
I like that you've laid it out that way.
I don't need to get there. I want to go up.
Oh, up is there we go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that works well. I think for us, like for example, when it comes to the rendering stage, let's say we're in Houdini and we made an animated person or we made an animated camera, we're
Mhm.
seeing like being able to import in not only the geometry but
Mhm.
also the cameras would be
Yes. Yes. And FBX does that.
huge. Mhm.
Alembic does Alembic do cameras?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it might be able to.
Yeah, so you'll be able to in Univah. You're going to do real-time physics. You're going to have we have a proprietary system called rReligionVFX,
Okay.
which is basically our version of the Maya Mesh network.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's going to be fantastic for motion graphics.
Mhm.
We also have, if you click on what says periodic table at the bottom. So what this feature does when it's turned on, it works with our physics system.
Oh, cool.
It's for teachers and students, but anyone can use it.
Yeah.
It allows you to basically make explosions and chemical reactions using the actual periodic
Cool,
table.
yeah.
What do you mean?
I'm not smart enough to do that, but I
No,
like
it's
Smart.
you're
That's
very
cool,
smart
though.
if you know Houdini.
that is cool though.
Yeah, so basically, you know how if you want to make an explosion, there are elements that make that reaction.
Yeah.
So like for instance, if you want to make fire, you would go up and you would hit hydrogen and then carbon
Oh my god, you're intense.
and then you hit carbon. And so
I
when you
actually
click
also
that,
have this one clicked on, so unclick it.
no, you're using beta. You're using beta, so don't worry about the
Okay.
functionality.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so this is what it's going to do when it's turned on.
Okay.
So what it does is you select the elements that you want to react. It adds to the viewport. You can actually see it in the viewport. Once it's in the viewport, you're not seeing it now because
Okay,
it's not
gotcha.
turned on.
Oh, okay.
This is to get you excited about what's to
Yeah.
come.
Okay.
So just remember, this is you're using the beta version.
Yes.
What it does is rather than just click explosion and it happens, you get to experiment with the and this is good for schools. It's good for teachers, educators, so that they can teach in real time that hey, hydrogen carbon does explosions
Okay.
or does fire. And what it does is it works based on how it happens in real life.
Okay.
Because if you have hydrogen, which is all the way over there, and carbon all the way over here, they're not going to react and make a fire, correct?
Okay.
So it's based on distance and temperature.
Oh, I see.
So we're going to have distance and temperature parameters.
Okay.
And so that way, as you bring these elements close enough to each other, and if the temperature is high enough, because obviously if you put them in a fridge, no fire. So you have to increase the temperature. So all these things are going to be in the parameters.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's
So
a
you like,
very
for instance,
specific-
if you
yes.
click on your light, click on your directional light, because I know in the work you guys do, lights are important. So click on the attribute editor. You can collapse that transform. You can collapse the transform, and just go to light parameters. All right. So now you can play with the lights.
And can I actually pick it up and move it?
Well, remember that a directional light is the sun,
Right, but if I
so you don't move the sun. You can only change the angle of the sun. Don't use the gizmo for that.
Okay.
You want to use these because it's more precise. Yeah. So this gives you more precise movement. And now for each light, you can do this for each light. Each light comes with different parameters, of course. Yeah. And that's the intensity.
Yeah.
and you can type in the values to simulate whatever you want. So if you want a hot sunny day, yeah. So now it's very bright because when you're dealing with directional light, it's the sun. So very low values are needed for directional light. So typically, what I found is that if you're doing outdoors, setting it to 4 works perfectly. 4 or 3 will give you that natural realism. Whereas for like a spotlight or point light or area light, you would want to increase that to like 100 before it even shows, right? Yeah. So that's how easy it is to play with lights. And our timeline is really straightforward. If you click on it, you'll see it. And again, you're in beta mode. So, I mean, we've tried to make it as not overwhelming as
Right.
possible. It's pretty standard, right?
Does it work? Is this a beta thing? Can I
Yes.
animate
Well,
this ball going?
you can, but it's not turned on. But what you can do right now is you can at least you can push play. That's what we allow people to do. You can push play, and you know how animation works.
Right.
You know that you can automatically set a key as long as it's not on 0. So when it's working, you'll be able to do that. But at least right now you can hit the if you hit like yeah, click any one of those, and then hit the plus button.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
the
So
keyframe?
you've got a keyframe. So this shows you how it's going to work.
Mm.
And then if you click something else, another property, you can add another keyframe. And then if you click and drag them, you
Is
can select
there
multiple.
a curve editor?
No, we are doing our best to avoid curve editors. Yeah, we are doing our best to avoid that because this isn't really going to be the tool you come to do complex. If you're looking for that, then it's best to do
I
that
see.
in yeah.
Okay.
What we want to do is be the much easier version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you come here to tweak things, refine things, and to see the final product.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, and you can play, loop. If you want to loop, you just add those little start and stop things over there, and it'll loop for you. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, these?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't look at okay. And then if you do this, oh,
And of course, you can zoom in on the timeline. All the basic stuff you would expect a timeline to do. Yeah, those are your start and stop bars. I think you're adding them both in the same
Oh,
spot.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So now if you hit play, I think it's gonna loop for you, unless you.
it'll just loop that section.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
And if you want to stop the loop, you just hit that loop button, and it'll stop the loop.
Gotcha.
There you go. So pretty straightforward, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's what we're going for. We don't want to make another tool that you're like, oh, how do I use this?
Right. Right.
So how do you feel about it so far in terms of workflow? Bringing stuff in, animating,
Yes.
physics.
So it would be that for me, the test would be let's see if we could bring in a project. Like let's say I've animated. I'm trying to think of something that we've even made that we can just bring in that would be.
I could log into our Google Drive.
Mhm.
Yeah, we would just bring in like an animated camera with maybe some type of MoGraph effect
Right.
and see if I could real time light it
Hmm.
and shade it.
Hmm.
And if it could do that, that's awesome.
I see.
Because
Okay.
like right now, the simplicity of how you have it set up
Mhm.
is what I would like to be able to do inside of Unreal.
Okay.
But Unreal is like we're gonna go through all these steps. I have to, from what I can tell, we don't have to have like a content depot of all the stuff that we have. We can just directly import it in, and it's not
Yes.
gonna fill out down through here, and it loads up quick, right?
Yes,
Loads up quicker
and
than
here's
Unreal
what's really
does.
awesome. Click on this guy. Let me show you what you're working with. Go to the yeah, select them. Hover over those textures. Don't even click it. Look at the resolution.
Right,
You're working with 8K textures.
right. Yeah, that's nice.
Now double click on that. Let's upload another one. Let's go to his maps. Click on the gray. No, no, not that one. Right below it. Right below that gray. There you go. Click on that, and it's going to change his textures. Look how quick it happens.
Oh, yeah.
And that's an 8K texture.
Yeah, that's good. Max
Right
is
click.
that middle button.
There you go. So you're loading 8K textures very quickly.
Yeah.